Hi, it's Malcolm Page, Chief of Olympic Sailing, obviously working for US Sailing. Many of you probably noticed an announcement recently about what's happening on the West Coast, and more in particular what's happening in San Francisco, about a training base that's going to be built on Treasure Island, primarily to obviously support the team, or certainly from my standpoint, from the Olympic standpoint, to support the team to bring success ultimately at the Olympic Games. So I wanted to update all our members out there and sailing people that what's going on, and so they understand a little bit more of what's going to happen on the West Coast and how it's going to help our team. So the venture out there has actually been called Fast USA, and at the moment you're looking at the brand new logo that is only now a couple of weeks old. As you'll notice, it's got the 5 colours of the Olympic rings and a nice American star in the middle, encompassed within those 5 boats. Just toggling along there, you'll see this partnership is sort of made up from those 4 different entities. The logo on your far left there is Treasure Island Sailing Centre, and they're the main host, the leaseholders of Treasure Island area, and who will be physically positioned with. Treasure Island Sailing Centre has been a great grassroots program that's been running around in the vicinity of 20 years in the Bay Area, and been quite successful. And their mission has always been to have this puddles to podium scenario, and obviously joining ranks with obviously the foundation, the main foundation out in the Bay Area there, and of course with the sailing team. Hopefully that's where we can plug in that podium piece within that mission statement. And of course, Fast USA is the new entity that's been built that is encompassing that project that'll be physically being built on Treasure Island. We all want to know, what does FAST stand for? And it's Facility for Advanced Sailing and Technology. Obviously, the Bay Area is an ideal place to situate this, with Silicon Valley just down the road. And obviously, from a sailing standpoint, it is really helpful to have it in the Bay Area as well, because there's so many microclimates within the Bay Area, and as many of us know, it's probably one of the best sailing venues in the world. So our athletes can get access to great conditions, great technology, and a base that will better help them come home and analyse all that effectively, quickly, and obviously help them ultimately with their performance. Here's a little snapshot of the mission, and the bit that I would really like to highlight is the puddles to podiums piece. Obviously, having an all-encompassing bottom to top scenario is really strong for our sport. We all love our sport, we fall in love with our sport for the obvious reasons, and then as the avenues and as we grow into our sport, we can all go and do different things, and to me, this really does a great connection from, let's say, our best athletes that are out there winning medals. For example, Caleb Payne, who is a San Francisco local, and now he's going to be mixing in his daily training with the new generation that'll be sailing with TISC, and falling in love, hopefully falling in love with our sport, and they will dream and then know in maybe 10, 15, 20 years' time that they could be the next Caleb Payne winning the medal for America. Now, here's a snapshot of where Treasure Island is situated. It's right bang smack in the middle of the Bay Bridge, which is a bit of land that it passes through on the way over to East Bay side. And you can obviously ideally see that's well positioned for all the different conditions that you can find within the bay. The winds under the Bay Bridge in the South Bay area is about 10 knots less traditionally, than the city front. And as we know, the Berkeley Circle is a little bit less, and obviously flat water, less current than some of the other venues around the bay. But it's well situated to easily get to all these different conditions, maybe a couple of times a day, and bounce between the different areas to train and learn skills from what those conditions offer. Now, the The city of San Francisco has great plans for Treasure Island. It currently has, I believe, approximately about 5,000 head that live on the island. But they have a 10-year plan to grow that to the vicinity of around 20 to 25,000 head. And here's a couple of little snapshots of what some, I guess, impressions of what the island will look like in the future and what it's going to grow to. One of the little photos there of the containers is actually a restaurant that is already built on the island. It's been operating now for close to a year, called Mercy. And only just 2 weeks ago, we used that venue as an announcement. The FAST group used it as an announcement to present to the US sailing team athletes and give them the vision of what it will look like going forward. There's another little snapshot of the main terminal. The plans are to have a ferry service running to the city every 30 minutes once the development of the island is completed. Here's a little snapshot of more zoomed in of where the facilities and the transition plan that we're going to have over the next sort of 5+ years in developing this. As you can see, where the current side of the Treasure Island Sailing Centre is, and then just above that is where the permanent site will be in the long run. Obviously, depending on development, we think it's going to be somewhere between 5 to 6 years before this comes to fruition. But in the meantime, we do have a temporary site, that green circle, which shows where we're going to be. And of course, the whole plan of this Centre of Excellence is to have some housing as well, so to make it more accessible for our athletes and I guess make it a complete training base for them. As you can see there, that little finger is pointing directly to the temporary site. So that grass area with the bitumen in the middle, and there's a little triangle grass area above that's just off picture, that is going to be our temporary site. There is a little bit of development to be done over that, over the summer to complete that. We've got power lines that run around the circumference of the property, so that needs to be removed. So obviously we can get masts or boats with masts up in and out of the site. But we envisage that will be ready sometime late in the fall or early into the winter when that'll be completed. So it's not that far away. And you can see just below that, the car park area there, that'll be the permanent site, that sort of triangular area in the long run. And then in the bottom left-hand corner is the existing TIS site, and you can see the launching ramp just there at the bottom. And that's where our athletes will be using it this summer to train from. There is the June period is probably the peak of the summer of the training that's going to happen in San Francisco, but it will obviously happen right along the summer and into the fall as well. But they'll be using the existing launching ramp there from Treasure Island Sailing Centre. Here's a schematic and sort of a vision of what we see the permanent site to look like. As you can see, it takes up that triangular area, and how they'll have a lot of storage and facilities, a new launching ramp, and of course, on-water boat storage area. So this complete plan is looking to be about 5 years away. We were very fortunate. Oracle Team USA donated their base from the America's Cup in Bermuda, or after Bermuda. So here's some vision or pictures of that base, and that will be placed on Treasure Island once we get city approval and power lines, etc., put in the right place. So this we think will be built later on in 2018. There's a visual, aerial visual of it in Bermuda. It's that centre building or centre tent with the American flag on top. And here's some pictures of inside. That what we're looking at there is actually an industrial kitchen, and that'll be there accessible for all sailors that'll be using the facility. So that includes the Treasure Island Sailing Centre, as well as the sailing team athletes and anyone in between. Some more pictures showing some offices, some of the container offices, and here's more of a visual showing the whole open area within. This construction is made up of 8 40-foot high top containers, and then obviously the frame that goes over the top. So it's a sizable area that can be used from our sailing community. So the vision of this FAST program out in Treasure Island is really to deliver this from the bottom right the way through to the top, all the way. One centre that can do it all. This will take some time to develop and build over the next few years, but as you can see there, it's really that puddles to podium vision. Here's a quick little snapshot of what we're certainly trying to do from a high performance standpoint. We're looking to have 2 national training centres in USA. Obviously, we've had the existing Miami one for a very long time, and it's been servicing our team for a very long time. And now with the FAST project out at Treasure Island, San Francisco will be the second one that comes online out in the West. Obviously, having one in the West makes a lot of sense to unite the country, because USA is a very big country with a lot of potential from border to border or coast to coast and everywhere in between. But also the West Coast is very well positioned with Japan, with only a short little hop across the Pacific for the 2020 Olympic Games. And we know it's only 10 years from now that Los Angeles will be hosting the 2028 Olympic Games. So it makes a great place to put a stake in the ground. But also part of this vision is to grow the network across the whole country and have ODP training sites, as we're going to call them, all across the country. And there is some of the examples of the strong players, regional programs that are existing today, and we'll be looking to work with to create these networks and those links everywhere, so our athletes, no matter where they are or what age they are or where they are in their development, know that they can connect to across the whole country and develop themselves into the future. And here's a couple of pictures of our I guess young athletes out at Treasure Island, and of course our hero from the Rio Games, Caleb Payne, and how we're going to connect this bottom to top program. So thanks for connecting with me. I hope you enjoyed that presentation and understand a little more of what is going to be happening out in San Francisco. And I guess the other thing that I I didn't really talk about is one of the strong things and part of the vision of I see as a rebirth of this sailing team and making it successful at the Olympic Games is the technology aspects. And America probably delivers somewhere in the vicinity of 80 or leads 80-90% of all the technology companies in the world, and the strong majority of them are based in Silicon Valley. So San Francisco really allows a great access to this area, these technologies, other industries that are leading this charge, and we better tap into it and use it not only for the US sailing team and their benefit to be at the top of the podium, but also for our sport in general. And accessing some of the, for example, some of the cool presentations that we saw from the America's Cup only 9 months ago. So this could really help our sport become more understandable for people outside of sailing, and also presented in a better way for our sport, but then also have that technology edge from a performance standpoint. So I hope you enjoyed that, and by all means, you're welcome to reach out to me, and if you have got any questions, I'd love for you to get you behind the US sailing team.